This past weekend, I took a trip to the completely delightful town of Lawrence, Kansas, to be a part of the Lawrence Busker Fest. It was fun, really fun, in a gorgeous town, but also really hard work. I did 7 long shows over 3 days in weather that was forecast to be thunderstorms, but ended up being the kind of intense heat and sun that means everyone who lives there feel the need to tell you that if you think this is bad, well, you should come in August, which is why they moved the festival away from August. At the start of every show, I had to gather my audience from scratch, and by the end of every show, I was exhausted, sweaty, and achy. This was not my usual 15 minutes of sarcasm and tricks in a basement cabaret club. This weekend, my nose was firmly pushed against a grindstone. This is an art form that makes you earn every laugh. It's hard work, is what I'm saying. So the question is, after 36 years of being part of this world, why do I still do it? Why did I spend an entire day folded up into various different budget airline seats to come to a place where nothing is guaranteed except sunburn? Why did I put myself once again in a position where I find myself sitting in my hotel room a couple of hours before my first show, nervous? I don't get nervous anymore, ever really, except for the first day of a busking festival every single time. Because at that point, everything is unknowns and anything could happen. And there's one of your reasons why I still love it. There aren't many places where truly anything might happen, but the street is one of them. And that makes it fun. The immediacy of street performing, I don't think any other kind of theatre is quite so live. It's just you on a street with people who want to see what's going to happen. And that's a beautiful thing, especially because sometimes even you aren't quite sure. Anyone can watch, there's no barrier to entry, no ticket price, so in that way it can be argued that it's an inherently political art. It's a unifier. Every audience this weekend made up of every different kind of person you could imagine, all united together in pursuit of a fun time. Performers from all over the world flying in and gathering in one city for one weekend and showing what they can do before packing up and moving on to the next gig. It's magical. And it's such hard work. Look, I know I already mentioned that, but you've got to understand, I started doing this in my teens, and that was nearly 40 years ago, which means that these days I'm not in my teens. And I love that I can still do it. It feels like a really hard workout, but with jokes and applause. And if I'm being honest, I really think I'm better at it now than I've ever been. I just ache a little more afterwards. Besides, where else am I going to get to hang out in a gorgeous diner and eat cheese grits with a murderer's row of busking legends? We all hook up like this maybe a couple of times a year, just for a few days, and I get reminded of why I chose this family. It connects me to my younger self, to when life seemed simpler. Street performing forces you to be in the moment, and there was a time when that moment was most of what my life was about. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to go back to that. I love my older, more complicated and textured life. But to be doing street shows decades on is, in some way, a conversation with that younger me. A conversation about the choices he made that got me here. And a way of reassuring him that this was a good path to spend a life walking. Saturday afternoon was brutally hot. With 2 shows in the full sunshine done and 1 more to go, I wasn't sure if I had any energy left. It got me wondering if I was still good at this after all. But then, inch by inch, the shade came across the pitch, thanks to the tall buildings around the edge. I chugged a couple of iced coffees, I stretched and decided to see what I could do with the little bit of fuel left in my tank. Turns out my audience liked the shade too, and they're a lovely crowd, and their energy replenished mine, and we had a really good time together. Afterwards, I throw some ice into a towel and lay in the back of a U-Haul with it over my head. It takes me a while to feel normal again, but when I do, I pack my stuff away and start the tired walk back to the hotel. And on that journey, kids want a fist bump. Dudes yell that I did a hell of a show, buddy. People thank me for coming. Teenagers jump off their skateboards to take selfies. A young nerd in heart-shaped glasses tells me she wants to be a singer, but now she's thinking that busking might be a good way to start. So I tell her to go for it, and maybe she might. I make it back to the hotel with a big dumb smile on my face, which stays there long past the cold shower. Busking is this beautiful cocktail of effort, craft and freedom. I'm a thin-skinned boy, and all this stuff really touches me. Maybe busking is about emotions turned up. Big cheers, big laughs, surprises, loud noises, but also real, authentic dialogue between performer and audience. I can usually find things to love wherever I find myself performing. That's another thing that busking taught me. Find the fun in whatever pitch you're on. But street performing will always be special. It's what got me here, and it's what continues to remind me why I wanted to be here in the first place, even if it does take a little longer these days for the aches to go away. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that little video diary. If you did, then please do subscribe, like, comment, give it a share. I know it's a cliche, but all of that stuff really helps small creators like me. Making these videos is time-consuming and expensive, and it's made possible by my backers over on Patreon, so I'd love it if you would consider joining them. There's a link under the video. Also, the podcast that I co-host with the American writer Bill Barol has just launched its 3rd season. It's called Imagination and Junk, and you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. We're both really proud of it. Thanks again for watching. Hope you're doing good. I'll see you next time.